Happy day, everyone. Beautiful couple that's coming on. I call them the Ward. Robert and Jerelyn Ward. They have a journey to talk about. Can't wait till you hear it. They've been married 31 years. Get up, get up. Only got one life to live. Live it up. They both are living with HIV, and they've held strong for 31 years. They're going to talk about their journey, what they went through, and how they stayed so close in their bond. We know not too many people stay married that long, right? But God kept them together. Happy day, happy day. This is Positively D discussion. You have to remember that HIV still exists. You have to get tested. You have to use protection. Because if you have contracted HIV, you could get on medication and you can live a better, healthier life. I am going to bring on a beautiful couple who has been married for 31 years, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you. Hello, beautiful couple.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing well. Doing
You're
well.
good. You guys go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell everybody who you are. You can talk about how long you've been living with HIV, and then we'll get into your journey.
We have been married for 31 years. We've been living with HIV for 21 years. Um, we got married in July 30th, 1991, and it's been a long. I'm going to use one of my wife's words, tumultuous journey. But we're still here. We're still here. We're still alive. We're still standing. We're still strong. And we praise God for all that.
Yeah, we're still standing. We're still strong. One of the things that we had found about 7 or so years into this, we were in a service listening to a minister, and one of the things that he quoted was this scripture: "I shall not die, but live and declare the works of the Lord." And that scripture resonated with both of us, and that became our standard of what we would say to ourselves in private, in public, that we would not die, but we would live and declare the works of the Lord. And here we are 21 years later, and that is what we're continuing to do.
Well, I want to say thank you for being here and thank you for coming on to share your journey with everyone. I think a lot of people need to hear it. We talked before, and I always say that the Black community HIV is so taboo. And for people to see your faces or my faces and our voices and put that to HIV, it changes, how the Black community sees it and helps stop that stigma and that internalized stigma that so many people live with. Um, so you found out 10 years into your marriage that you were living with HIV. Talk a little bit about how that came about and how did you find out that you were living with HIV?
Well, we found out in 20 January, right? February of 2021.
2001.
2001. Wow. 2001. I was actually in the hospital in Orlando, fighting for my life with bacterial meningitis. And after being there for almost 2.5 weeks, um, because they couldn't figure out why my temperature was spiking and my blood pressure was so high and would go down, they finally took a blood test. And 2 weeks later, I went to the doctor's office, and he told me that I was HIV positive. Now, once we get more into the story, I'll tell you a little bit more about how that all happened, went about. But um, but I didn't want to believe it, so my wife had my wife to take a blood test as well. And 2 weeks later, after that, we found out that she was HIV positive as well. Um, and from that point, we just started trying to live a healthy life. Started taking our vitamins. The doctor had told us that it wasn't necessary for us to take medication at the time, um, because he said that people who had HIV who never took medication. So um, that's what our thing was. We stay
Start
healthy.
out.
Let's start out with we stay healthy. We do what we're supposed to do, and we're going to be all right. Um, 2 years later, it didn't happen that way. I crashed in 2004, and that I ended up in the hospital with full blown AIDS, and that was just a mess. I tell everybody, I went to Georgia, and it almost killed me. So um, went to Georgia to keep the problems with my brother, who I had told a few years later that I would move to Georgia to be with him and his family. Um, but it wasn't a good idea at the time. But I thought it was. My wife wasn't in agreement with it, but I just believed that it was something that we need to do. Um, and as I said, it almost killed me. Um, but to God be the glory.
God be the glory. To
Yes,
God be the glory.
yes,
So you found out in 2000, 2001, and HIV is not that new in 2000, 2001. It's not the 80s. And
right.
you left there with no information, no
None,
medication,
none.
thinking that you just leave and just live your life and be healthy and you'll probably be okay.
Yes,
Doctor didn't even tell you that you needed to be on medication,
no,
didn't tell you that you needed to be in care. But when I
no.
think about those kind of situations, I always say that he probably didn't know himself.
Right.
But since he is a physician, he is a doctor, it would have been nice if people had looked it up because I'm sure
Yeah,
it would have came up somewhere, to
yeah.
give you that information so you guys could have left with it. So 2 years later, you find
Hmm.
yourself not doing too well.
Not too
And
well.
then you found out that you had an AIDS diagnosis.
Yes, yes. I
And
was
so,
actually at work, um, Camp Creek, at a brand new Red Lobster, and I was working almost 7 days a week, like 14, 15 hours a day. And I was feeling fine, but one morning I went in, and I felt like my insides just stopped, and I could not move. I went to the manager. The manager was there. The office manager was there. The restaurant manager was there, and the director, the retail director was there. They were having a meeting, and I walked in there and I said, "Look, I'm really not feeling that well. Um, I need to go home." And they asked me, can you just sit down for a minute and make sure, maybe it'll go away. And I did that. I sat down for 2 minutes, and then one of the guys, he actually came in and checked on me, and I said, "Look, man, I can't do anything. I feel like something is not right. Something is not right." I feel weak and I can't move. And I asked him to call my brother. My brother came, and I had to have him and three other guys that worked with me um, help me drag me out to the car, put me in the car, and rush me to the hospital.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think we failed to mention. I think I want everybody to hear this because this happens a lot with
Mhm.
with heterosexual men. Um, the doctor actually asked you, um,
Yes.
"Were you gay?"
Yes.
before they even gave you your diagnosis.
Yes. Before he even took the blood test, when I was uh, getting ready to leave the hospital in Orlando, and he said, "There's one more test we want to do." And he didn't even ask me. He didn't even tell me what kind of test it was. He just first thing he asked me was, have you had sex with any boys? He didn't even say men. He says any boys. Have you been with any boys? And I said no, no. I was 2 weeks. I was 2 weeks to punch him in the face, you know. And I said no, no, no. He said, I said, why you asking me that? He said because I want to do an HIV. I said you ain't got to worry about that. I don't have HIV. You can do the blood test, you know. And he took the blood 2 weeks later. Before he gave me the results of the blood, he asked me. I'm asked again, have you been with any boys? I said, why do you keep asking me that? No, I have not been with any boys, you know. And then he asked me, had I been with had I been had sex with anybody outside of marriage? And I said no because I knew I had, but I said no because I thought I could just get through this thing and go to the other side of this because we moved to Orlando just to start our lives back over again with our three kids. And he said, "Okay." I said, "Why are you asking me?" He said, "Because your test came back positive." I said, "I don't know what that means. What does that mean?" He said, you have HIV." And I said, "What does that mean?" "I don't know what that means." He said, "Do you know what HIV is?" I said, "No." And he proceeded to tell me what it was. I said, "Man, that can't be right, man. I've been doing good. I've been losing weight. Are you telling me I'm actually gonna die?" And
Hmm.
he said, well, HIV um, is a deadly disease. And then I said, "No, no, no." He said, well, "Does your wife have HIV?" I said, "No, she doesn't have HIV." And he had her tested. He brought her in the room. I said, "You can ask her yourself." He brought her in the room and asked her if she would be willing to take a blood test. And she took one, and I told her what it was all about.
Right.
And came back 2 weeks later, and she had the HIV came back positive. And I just looked at him. I said, "So what do we have to do? We need to take Is there some type of medication that we need to take?" No, not the mini. Right now, you all are good. You're healthy. Your your blood. I don't even remember if he even told us anything about a CD4 count or anything like that. He just said you're healthy. Start taking care of yourself. If you're not taking vitamins, take some vitamins and eat well, and you should be fine. We have many because there are many couples who don't even never go on medication.
He just said, "Go home and take some vitamins,"
That's
Yeah,
and
it.
then
that's what he
other
said.
couples are doing the same thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what he said.
and I never saw him again.
And this
No,
was
we
in
didn't.
2000s. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm so lost. Um, Jerelyn,
he never called. He never called. He had my telephone
Yeah,
number.
never called and checked
He
on
never
us.
called and checked on us or nothing.
mm, mm, mm. I had the nerve to ask, "Were you sleeping with boys, not men?"
Yes, yes,
Then
not men.
ask, "Are you sleeping outside your marriage?" And for
Yes,
you, that's none of his business. So you didn't feel you
right,
had to tell him that.
right.
Um, Geraldine, how did you feel 2 weeks later when you got your diagnosis as well?
It sent me reeling, D. On the inside. One, because this was something my husband and I had talked about just a few years before. saying that, we're doing good. We don't have any terminal diseases in our life or nothing like that, so we're good. So then to hear this diagnosis, I'm like, wait, what happened? What's going on? But also, you know, when I look back now in retrospect, if I was really honest, I knew that there had been some things, some challenges that we had. And I was in my mind, I could see where there could have been a couple of situations or places where this could have happened. But my immediate reaction was I was angry. I was
Yeah.
angry. I was like, man, this was not how this is supposed to go. This is not how this is supposed to happen for us. How are we going to deal with this? How am I going to tell my family? How are we going to tell the children? I mean, you went through all these different scenarios in my head to the point where at one point I was just like, I'm not going to think about nothing right now. Let's just take it. Let me just take things one at a time.
Yeah, I think that's a feeling everybody has, angry, scared, confused. What's gonna happen next? Am I gonna still be here for my children? Uh, that thought came through my mind constantly, who's gonna take care of my daughter? I'm the one that's supposed to be taking care of my daughter. Us as parents, we don't want anyone else to raise our kids when we know that we're capable of doing it.
Right, right.
Um, so what happens next with Robert and Jerelyn? And how did you come to realize that you needed to just stay together? Then that was the best thing for your family. Because some women do get upset, or the man, and then they start to blame one another, and then the relationship just ends after that, after the diagnosis.
Do we blame each other?
Mm, okay. It took a we walked through a minute of things, a myriad of emotions.
Yeah.
Me for one, I just figured, because I started reading and studying it on my own. When I found out different
Yeah.
things, that different side effects that would happen to people who had HIV, and we didn't talk to anybody about it because I didn't have anybody to talk to about it.
Right.
It was a stigma. It was how am I as a man going to go and talk to somebody else? Because the first thought they're going to have is, man, you gay, you know, and so you don't talk to anybody. So I said, Lord, there are a lot of things, a lot of stuff that happens to your body. I'm
Mm.
the one that sinned, so I'll take it. I'll take it on me. Don't let Jerelyn have to go through any of this stuff. And I remember one night, 1:30 in the morning, before we left Orlando, I had gotten up to start packing because I said, Lord, I'm just going to leave, and I know that you'll take care of her, and I'll go wherever I need to go. And next thing I saw, she came over on the other side of the bed, and she asked me where I was going, and I told her, I said, I'm going to leave. God's going to take care of you. He's going to heal you. And then and then she said what she said.
My words were that to this was that no, that's not what we agreed upon.
Yeah.
So you're not going anywhere. We didn't agree upon that. Um, I think in that response, D was I don't want to use survival, but just knowing that if we stay together, we would do better together. I didn't believe that we would do better apart. Because we had three children. Here we are going on 11 years in marriage. I just couldn't see it any other way. Didn't see it any other way.
Now, when we did move to Orlando, and I did hit rock bottom, um, we finally started telling people. Jen started telling her family. She
Georgia. We
told,
moved to
moved to
Georgia.
Georgia. I'm sorry, moved to Georgia, and she told my brother and my sister-in-law, and people were telling her, Jen, you need to leave him. You need to go. And she called back to Daytona Beach, and one of our friends that we used to go to church with, he told her, we'll pay for you. You ought to come down here, you and the kids, and just I was gonna they were gonna leave me up there, you know. And I said to her, because I kept asking the nurse while I was in the hospital, when am I getting out of here? When am I getting out of here? She said, and she wouldn't answer me. And
Right.
she said, "Well, just wait until your wife gets here." And Jerelyn came up, and I said, "Jerelyn, when am I gonna get out of here?" And she started to cry, and she said, "Robert, I'm gonna take the kids back to Daytona Beach. They told me
Mm.
that they're gonna take care of you." And uh, I said, "Jerelyn, if you leave, I'm gonna find some kind of way to get out of this bed. I'm gonna get out of this hospital. I'm not just gonna lay here and die." After she left and went home, we went back to the apartment. The
Nurse.
administrator came in and she said, "Well, Mr. Ward, we're going to go ahead and put you on some medication, and we have a place where we have people that have your condition.
Goodness.
We'll put you there until you expire." Basically, what they said. Your
So
wife is going to go. Your wife's going to go ahead and go where she is, and we're going to take care of you.
basically, so in 2004, you ended
Hmm.
up with meningitis. They found out that you had an AIDS diagnosis.
Hmm.
And then those emotions are real, right, Shirley?
Yeah.
Yes.
They are so
Yeah.
real. And then you have people over here, then you have people
Hmm.
over here telling you to
Hmm.
do this, telling you to do
Hmm.
that, making you confused, making you lost, and probably deep down inside your heart, you knew you didn't want to leave your husband.
Hmm.
But
It's
it's funny how other people can tell you what to do
what's bad.
in your marriage. But I like what you said when you said we were better together. And you
Yeah.
still here together 31 years later.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
so beautiful. So,
Yes.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, Talk a little bit about your family. Because I know you had a lot of challenges with your family in the beginning, of them not wanting you around because of course we know when people are not educated, it scares them. And if you're not educated, you can't educate them. So then you say to
Oh,
yourself, well, I do kind of understand why, I'm not educated either. So
sure.
talk a little bit, just a little bit about the challenges with your family.
2001, we get the diagnosis and we decide that we're not going to say nothing to nobody. We're just going to live healthy. We move to Georgia in 2004, still making that decision not to tell anybody. We're living with my husband's brother, and then we move into a place of our own. And then he's at this job at the Red Lobster, and he's working too much, and he crashes. So at this point, we have no choice. We've got to tell everybody.
Right,
So now they know that he's ill and something's wrong. And then his brother and our sister-in-law they are upset with us because we didn't say anything, we didn't tell them. And so that's our first interaction with family that makes it quite uncomfortable now.
hmm,
Okay, because y'all living in our house, y'all didn't tell us anything could have happened, anything could have jumped off. Right there, that's where you have misinformation because if we're not having intercourse with anybody in the house, nobody else can get it. But at the time, that's what everybody, and people don't know how you can get it, and
Right.
so that also creates the stigma. We don't know you. We don't want you using nothing we have, and you didn't tell us. And I mean, so that's first interaction. Then my family, they just went from 0 to 100. They were very upset. It was like, how could you do that? And then that just capitalized on an already tense relationship between my husband and my family because we had just, put them at arm's length because they were always making jokes and always putting them down in front of our children. So that relationship was already a little tense. And then this on top
right,
of it. But this is the thing, D, that just blows our mind. That even with that, with the family, and friends. When we needed help, they all still helped.
Yeah.
They all still help. That just still blows my mind, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful. I know it's God. Even though Robert's brother was angry, he helped
right,
moved all our stuff. He moved all our stuff out of the apartment into a storage, into their garage. My brothers and sisters sent money for us to stay in an extended stay. We had to stay in an extended stay because with Robert not working, we couldn't stay in our
right,
apartment. And so even with that craziness, the family
right,
still came through
Mhm.
right.
It took them a minute.
to digest.
When Joe was going to go back to Daytona Beach, her
Mhm.
mom said, "You all can come," you know. And then she called back and said, "Well, you and the kids could come. Robert can't come." And so, but we did have the friend who actually got us down there, put us up in a hotel, and then she was able to get back with a hotel owner that had a hotel where she worked before, and she put us up in the hotel. I forget how long we were there,
Couple months.
couple months, and that's our road
Daytona.
back to normal,
Back to
whatever
normal.
normal,
Whatever normal is
Whatever
right.
normal was, right? It was your normal
right.
at that time.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
And then you talked about how your family, they were upset, and of course they probably were a little taken back, fearful about you even being around because they didn't know how this HIV or this AIDS diagnosis, all of it was transmitted. But they still helped you. So that
Yes,
shows the love of your family. Um, but I always it's always a saying that I say. A lot of people don't really understand the word unconditional love.
Mm.
That deep, deep agape love for
yes,
human beings, not just for your partner, but for your human beings. The Bible talks about agape love. And
yes.
you have some people that do know what agape love is, that unconditional love. They loved you, but they loved you from afar.
Yes,
That's how I look at it. And they were still there for you. But it wasn't that
yes.
deep agape love, you know?
It
Not the
wasn't.
agape
It
love
wasn't.
you guys have for each other and your children.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
So
It wasn't that.
Jerelyn and Robert wrote a book. And I want them to talk about what prompted them to write this book. My book will be here tomorrow. So I can't wait to start reading it. It's called For Better and For Worst with a T. And you can pull it up on Amazon and you can type in their names as well behind it and it'll come up on Amazon. Talk a little bit about what prompted you to write the book, why did you feel the need to write it?
Neither of us even had the idea that we had the ability to write. But we were in a church at the time, and where we were, the emphasis was on us being healed, and that was being pressed and pushed that we're going to get healed under this ministry. But one of the things my husband had always said, which I was grateful, he said, nobody's going to get the glory for it but God. And so, anyway, a prophet was there, and she saw this pressure. I could see when she saw this pressure being put that we got to be healed under this ministry. And the Lord spoke to her and said, "No, this journey that you all are on is meant to bless other people. And what
Mm-hmm.
the Lord is telling me is that you all are going to write a book about this." And she said, "I want you all to get some paper, and I want you to start writing." Now, back then, we didn't have a clue we're gonna write a book. We started writing some things, and then over the years from that was 2007, we got that word. And over the years we wrote some things, but it didn't get really serious until 2011. And I was working at a college in South Florida, and I was doing some work for the president. I was calling to check with one of these honorees, and I found out she had self-published her book. And so I just started talking to her about it. I said, "Me and my husband are writing a book." And she was the catalyst to help us go from a
Good.
piece of paper here, a page here, a little bit here, to actually putting it together. And when we finally met with her, she said, "You all are farther along than you thought you were." We have no clue. I just had a
Yeah.
notebook. We had designed. I still have all that stuff too. We had designed our little cover ourselves on Photoshop and did some stuff. But anyway, she helped us bring it to a place where it became more than just conceptual, but actual. She helped us put it in chapters, showed us how to set it up and all of that. So it was a long journey, because if you don't know what you're doing, then
Mm,
you just kind of fumble. But through her coming into our life helps to help bring it into focus. And now we try to help others. As recently as last month, we've had people asking us what they should do to get their books going, and we've been giving counsel to others
mm,
about how to write
mm.
their books and get it. And one gentleman, we just gave him a published company, and now his book is published. And so, we're gonna be an encouragement to others, because we don't think anybody else should reinvent the wheel like we had to and stumble and fumble through this. But
Right.
sit down and get it written.
We had one ghostwriter. Oh my God. She was going to help us through it, and just when we thought things was going to get through, she passed away.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, Jerelyn,
You were done at that
this
point.
has got to be
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yes, passed away.
And then I was on the internet, and out of nowhere in my email was this company, Christian Faith Publishing. And I went, I clicked on, and I called them, and I let them know what was going on. And they said, send us your book. This is how much it's going to be. Send us your book. And we sent them the manuscript, and they said, you all are done. We just need to go through the editing process. We'll do the cover. We'll go through and do all the thing. We'll correct some things. We'll send it to you. You correct it. Send it back to us. We'll type it up, and that's it.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's the,
I
that's
always
the
say,
front of it.
God, this is what the cover looked like. And it's a beautiful cover, too. It is a beautiful cover.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you said a little bit ago, Geraldine, that that the woman said that your journey, is going to help someone. I'd say our journeys are actually saving other people's lives. Our
Mhm.
journeys are helping, inspiring, and motivating and encouraging so many people, especially people who live with HIV, to let them know
Yes.
that they can thrive and they can live and that everything is going to be just fine. And it's funny because in the beginning, you two didn't see that.
No.
You didn't see that at all. But look at you now. Your children are grown. You've been together 31 years and you're thriving. You're living healthy, beautiful lives. Robert didn't, nobody thought Robert was going to make it. And he sits before us talking
Right
about
now.
your guys'
Yes.
journey. And
Yes.
it's nothing but God.
Nothing but.
God. See,
Nothing but.
I call him the walking miracle. That's
yeah,
one thing I call him. That's what I first started out calling him. But then, as we go through this medical journey, he's had both of his hips replaced. He's got pins in his right ankle. He's
look at that.
had lenses placed in his eyes because he had cataracts. He's got a plate here, for dental reasons. And so now I call him my $6 billion man,
Yeah.
because you know what they said about Lee Majors. We can rebuild him. We can make him better. So
Man.
they right. So they done rebuilt him and made him better. So we ready for another 40, 50 years. D. That's where we are. From
I
the
say
walking miracle to
now you just live your life and deal with the other health problems that come
Yeah,
along with getting older.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, you're the
Exactly.
bionic man.
that's it right here.
Yeah, the bionic man. So we're gonna close, but let me first say this. If anyone would like to follow the Wards on Instagram, you can go to Robert Ward 2017 on IG, on Instagram, Robert Ward 2017 on Instagram, IG, and to get that wonderful book called For Better and for Worst, you guys, on Amazon. Pull their names up and type it in, it's going to come right up. And I always ask my guests, are there any last words that you could give the people that are listening and watching just to encourage them?
Mhm.
No matter how dark it gets, because it does get dark. Whether it's dark just completely in your head, and physically, or if it's not dark physically, it's dark in your head. No matter how dark it gets, find a reason to live. Choose to live. Choose to. And it is a choice. It's your choice. It has nothing to do with anybody else's saying. It has nothing to do with your circumstances. I say this because it's so true. If you can find the simplest reason to live, let's just say you're a dog owner, and your simple reason is, okay, I can't let the dog be in the house and use the bathroom. I got to get up and go take him for a walk. Choose to live for that reason. I don't care what it is. Find the lowest common denominator, but live.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's it.
I
You
love
have
that.
got to find a reason to live because it is your choice. We've made that our what do you call it? Our
Mantra.
mantra.
I don't know. Yeah.
Um, you
Words to
have to
live
find,
by.
yeah, words to live by. You have to find a reason to live. Because if if you turn it around, you're not living for yourself because other people are watching you. Other people are counting on you. It's not just about you anymore. It's about somebody else. Whether it's your children, whether it's your spouse, your mother, your father, your auntie, your coworker, whoever may be that's close to you, your best friend. That person, some kind of way, is expecting you to show up every single day,
Every single day.
and you have got to show up.
And it becomes an adventure.
Yeah,
Life is no longer boring. I
yeah,
mean, yes, it was really tough, the things we walked through, but
hmm,
now when we look back, we're sitting here talking to you.
yeah,
It's like, oh, we've been on this adventure,
yeah,
this adventure journey,
yeah. You,
learning about
Yes.
who we are, learning about who others are.
yeah. You're
You
making a
know,
better man. Hmm.
I say, what do you have to complain about? When you look back at your journey and where you're at now,
Hmm.
life is beautiful.
It
Yes,
is.
It's beautiful.
yes,
There's
It
yes.
is.
a advocate by the name of Tez Anderson. He started an organization called Let's Kick Ass. It's for long-term survivors. And
Mm,
Oh,
there's something that he started that's called survivor syndrome for
mm,
long-term survivors. And he said to me, wake up every day and write it down. Gratitude. What are you grateful for? Every
mm,
day he did that. He says, I didn't care if it was, I was grateful for my phone, I was grateful for my shoes, or just grateful. Write it down, stick it
mm,
somewhere. And it
mm.
changed his course of thinking mentally and
Yes.
helped him with his depression and what he was going through about all the friends that he had lost. So it's the
Hmm.
same what Jerelyn just said.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. So be grateful, everyone. Be thankful for life. Look back at where you've been and where you're at now, even if it's just the small things. Be grateful for them. Um, thank you, Robert and
thank
Jeremy.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And
Thank you.
again, you guys can get that book on Amazon called For Better and For Worst. For Worst.
That's it.
And you can follow Robert and Jerelyn on IG at Robert Ward 2017. All right. Thank you. It was good talking to you guys.
Good talking to
Bye.
you too. Bye.
Another beautiful couple. People are out there that have been together for many years living with HIV, but a lot of them don't speak up. And we know that that's because of the stigma that society puts on HIV. And we know it's because that stigma they took and put it onto themselves and believed it. And so now they live with that internalized stigma. And that's what we try to do here on the Positivity D Discussion Show is to break that stigma and that internalized stigma in society. So, but guess what? This is Positivity D Discussion. You have to remember that HIV still exists. You have to get tested. You have to use protection. Because if you have contracted HIV, you could get on medication and you could live a better, healthier life. And if anyone out there is looking for HIV testing, you can go to hiv.gov, hiv.gov. Type in your city, state, or zip code up in the search, and it's going to give you all those testing sites in your area. You guys have an awesome and amazing day. Love you.